Hey everyone, I'm Ula Jacobs, and I'd like to speak with you about the principles of universal law. And I guess the best place to begin would be to say, what is it? What's universal law? And when we hear the word law, the obvious focus would be on a man-made legislation enacted by a controlling authority and having binding legal force. Universal law, however, has absolutely nothing to do with a mandatory adherence or compliance of any man-made ordinance. It is a system of immutable, never-ceasing, divinely scripted axiom from Creator. It's important. Why is it important? And as a researcher, I'm always asking how and why. So the why in this case, why is it important, is it provides us with self-empowerment so we can become proactive with its use. We can co-create with Spirit. And then the next question would be how. There is a matchup magnetically formed with our output. And this all takes place in the ethers. And please remember that word, the ethers, because it's going to come up later again as well. Awareness of this fact is actually a game changer as we're able to change what we connect with. So if we're finding that there's something in our life that isn't working really well, we can examine, first of all, where is our thought process going with this? What is our belief system around any of this? And it becomes apparent that we're actually helping to bring this into effect, because we are always creating. And all we have to do is look at when we get up in the morning to the time that we go back to bed. Every single thing that we do within any given day is brought forward by, first of all, a thought, and then acting upon that thought. So we're basically creating all day, every day, all of what we experience. All is energy. Everything's energy. Everything in the universe is energy, including thoughts and words. And by releasing negative thought patterns, we can let go of the beliefs that keep us stuck in a loop. And during my first book, which was published in 2006, Hidden Laws, Ultimate Tools for Divine Co-Creation, I had a number of interviews on various different platforms. And I began with the book actually outlining an illness that I had had, which lasted for 9 years, and how I got through it all. And as I went on these interviews, I was really excited to share the information about universal law, because I thought, oh gosh, everybody should hear this, because it's, we can do something about what's coming our way. And then imagine my surprise when every single interview began with the illness, and they all wanted to know what went on there, how did I do it, and how did I come out at the other side. And it was a complete surprise to me, because like I say, I was ready to share the other, and I did share it after that, but the focus was clearly on the illness. So that actually got me to think, well, okay, are there a lot of people that are ill? And I mean, even back in 2006, yeah, there were a lot of people that were ill, because that was proven later on with feedback that I got. But in any event, it was important for me to share this information, and now I want to share it with you via YouTube. I've been asked a number of times, what would I tell my younger self if I could go back and just give that person some advice? And the answer to me is always the same, and that is get to know universal law, understand it, use it, because I can only imagine how much different the teenage years and even the years after would have been if I had had access to the information at that point in time. I came to it rather late, but at least I'm here, and I'm really, really, really glad that I am here, because it works for me, and I really, really hope it works for you as well. Nikola Tesla has a really interesting quote that's apropos here, and it is, if you want to know the secrets to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And he actually worked with that energy extremely well. I've seen information about when he got the information, it came through from the other side, and he would sit on the sand, and he would take a stick and he would draw what was being given to him. So that information was coming through the ethers, which is a place where all information exists anyway. So he was getting this and he was drawing it up, and then he would transfer that information onto his plans that he had. It looks like he was shut down because there were people that were making a lot of money on selling us energy, and he was proposing to bring it for free because it's all out there. And later on I'll get into the Antiquitech buildings, and that was part of the way that another voice of people was also using this. But anyway, to not digress too much here, we have an all-pervasive energy that is alive. Some call it the ethers, and this is where all action takes place magnetically. And apparently there is a large electromagnetic coil in our earth, and there are the same type of coils out in the ethers as well, and they are transponding with each other, and this is the magnetic energy that we are able to use and work with. And that's how the magnetic matchup is made also, with which I talked about earlier. We're presently in a paradigm shift coming out of the pious age of Pisces and moving further into the age of Aquarius. In Pisces, many religions got a foothold, and in Aquarius, we're going to be finding that the focus goes a lot more towards spirituality and away from the religious aspect of it. The buzzwords for this age of Aquarius, which we're moving into now, is ethers, and basically all the new technology, all of what we're going to hear, including how we communicate with the Wi-Fi and with our telephones and all of that, is all done in the ethers. And here's that word again. It is where technology has gone. It is where technology will continue to go further and further with more innovations, and innovations are also part of the Aquarian buzzwords. The other one is all will be revealed. And has anyone noticed how that's showing up lately? We're getting to see the government collusion and the way the corruption is being revealed all globally. And we're getting to see hidden files that are now being revealed about past events. That's all being revealed. We are looking at Antiquitech buildings a little bit differently because the buggy and the horse and buggy crowd did not have the ability or the tools to build some of these structures. Now, what structures am I talking about? These are huge cathedrals that have been taken over by the church. These are sometimes government buildings, and they are often stately homes as well. And these structures were used to actually gain the energy from the ethers and make it for free at that time. Now, if you look at any of these antiquity buildings, you will notice that there's usually huge archways all the way at the entrances. And what they've done is they've brought that down with planks and whatever else. They've brought that down and then put in a normal-sized door that fits humanity now. But my question would be, what was the need for these giant entryways all those years ago, whenever that was, and when those buildings were built? Because they weren't built when we were told they were built. I think they're a lot older than that. But in any event, these buildings were with big spires a lot of times, and with areas that were round portions that are now looking like windows and just decoration, but apparently they held some kind of an engine or motor, and it was used to gain the energy to bring it down from the ethers. All really interesting information, and I suspect, this is my own supposition here, is that we have had an advanced race on this planet that built all those buildings. And they were probably a lot larger than we are, which would be why it would be necessary to make these large, large openings in these buildings. And some of those, you can see the windows up higher. They're all really long and large windows. They're narrow, but they're high. So, you know, these are all little clues about things not being as we've been told they were. I look forward to getting the true version of our history, because I think it's going to be very, very interesting. And hopefully down the line we will get that as everything gets revealed more and more and more and more within Aquarius. The other thing that's also moving on this ether highway is blockchain. And this is a decentralized digital ledger, which is formed to have every financial transaction be there, transparent, and know who did what. So any of the hidden payoffs and all of the collusion that has gone on, I mean, you just have to look at FTX, and it never did tell us all of what went on there, but I've done some research on that, and it's interesting. All of that will no longer be possible, because every transaction will be seen. You can view it right on the blockchain. And this also will become our new financial system, not too far in the future, as I think there are already some countries that are paying themselves in tokens, and then the token is the same. You know, it's an easier way to do things. And it will definitely become part of our new financial system down the line. So I encourage you to take a look at what it is and get familiar with it, because I think it will soon be part of our life even more than it's already part of. And if you're into crypto, you probably already know exactly what it is and how it works. That's a whole other story, and it's fascinating. Hidden laws, these hidden laws, which are universal laws from Creator, will also be known again, and they will not be kept secret anymore. And the reason that they have not gotten their due as they should have, because each and every one of us has a right as a human being in body with Creator's light to have access to these laws. And they are due to give us self-empowerment, like I said before, because we have the ability to do something here. And it's important for anybody that's not happy with how things are going. But they have been suppressed because there's been a whole there's been a whole entire system of control that took over instead and pushed these laws aside, because there were mentions of them in Gospels, and that information did not see the light of day, even though Joshua ben Joseph came over 2,000 years ago in order to teach these laws to the people at the time, who were very oppressed under another control system. And I'll get all into that in further videos. And this is Joshua ben Joseph, is the one that a lot of you know as Jesus. And he came to teach these principles. He was not into a religion in any way, shape, and form. He was here to teach us empowerment and to work with these energies brought to us by Creator. So I'll get into that in further videos as well. And if any of this information resonates with you, then I encourage you to join me for future videos. I will get more in depth into the laws and take each one separately and show how it works within our lives. And I'd like to get into reincarnation. I'd also like to get into the mind-body connection, which I got to during my illness, and which actually helped me to get the impetus to get over what I needed to get over, along with other things. But that was one of the biggies, is that I understood that my thinking was keeping me in the space that I was at the time, and it's not a space that I needed to stay in. So in wrapping up here, I would just like to represent these laws and what they are. The adjectives that have been used are omnipresent, which means present everywhere, all the time, at the same time. Omnipotent, which means great unlimited authority of power. And omnificent, which is unlimited power of creation. Now, there's a lot of omnis there, and the omni part of that means all or entirely. But what does the entire thing mean to us? It basically allows us to have unlimited power to co-create with Spirit anywhere, anytime, because these laws are never ending, never ceasing. They are everywhere, all together, all the time, and there for our use once we understand how to use them, and if we want to use them for empowerment. So I leave you at this moment until the next time. Thank you for listening, and let's shake it up.